Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin and going over my thoughts on where it's headed. So if you are new to the channel and you want to show some support, please leave a like and subscribe. So I am on the weekly chart, and as you can see, this goes all the way back to 2016. And I think ratio charts are very important because it kind of gives you that concept of opportunity cost. So for example, if your money's in Bitcoin, then that's capital that's not being parked into Ethereum. And generally in these uptrends, you can see how Ethereum largely outperforms Bitcoin and vice versa. When it's downtrending like this, Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum. And I just think, these are so important because you always want to have your capital in the investment that is going to have the best risk adjusted return. So in the short term, I have outlined this pretty basic uptrend where we see price action kind of bouncing off of this support line once, twice, three times, and we are pressing it once again. And I think that in general, the more times you test a support level, then the higher likelihood it is to break. And also for the resistance level. So the more times you test a resistance level, the higher chances it has of breaking. So we are on the fourth test, and as you can see, it looks like we might be breaking this maybe this week or the next week. And I'm pretty sure once we break this, we will be revisiting this red zone I've outlined. So in the past, this red zone has served as a very important region. You can see how after this crazy top in 2018, we had this dead cat bounce, ultimately bouncing back up around 65% for this second lower high. And you can see how in this rally here, this was the first candle that kind of capped price side or upside, and price action kind of consolidated and came back down quite a bit. So this is a very key support region, and you can see how we've been holding it ever since we broke it in May of 2021, and I would expect this to have some sort of support. Maybe we have a short-term bounce off of this level if we go back down to it. But ultimately, this is going to be a major inflection point. So if Ethereum Bitcoin is going to be bullish, we really need to see this red zone hold as support, because otherwise you run the risk of losing it and flipping it as resistance. And the last time we saw this support region lost was in August of 2018, and you can see how following the break of this, we dropped, ultimately we ended up dropping 72%, but the first target we dropped to was this orange zone I have outlined, and that was a negative 33% drop over just 3 or 4 weeks. So anytime we lose this, it has resulted in an immediate retest of this orange zone. So you can see how also in October of 2017, when we lost it, we retested this and dropped it about 33% over 2 weeks. So you could speculate that if we were to lose this red zone as support and retest it for resistance, then you could make the argument or the case that we will be trending back down to this lower support region in the orange zone. So if we were to do that and hold that as support, then we would get very close to this long-term macro uptrend. You can see how price action has just been forming these general higher lows over the long haul around this trend line. So we have this first low created in December of 2016 at 0.0078, and then we bounced off of this in December of 2019 at 0.017, and then once more in December of 2020 at 0.02. So you can notice how all these lows correspond to the December timeframe, and there is some seasonality to that. So we could just kind of speculate that, okay, well, maybe we retest it in December again, and you can see how if we were to drop down there and consolidate, then we could ultimately have another test in the December timeframe, and something like this where we bounced off of that and kind of exit this accumulation consolidation zone is ultimately what I believe is the most likely path for Ethereum. And this would come off the back of a Bitcoin drop most likely. And generally you see, when the markets are so bearish, a lot of investors are fleeing to the least risky assets, and Ethereum is always going to be, well, maybe not always, but for the time being, it is a more risky asset than Bitcoin. And we see this with, the volatility. Say if Bitcoin were to drop 25% today, Ethereum would most likely drop 35%, 40%, or some significantly higher value than 25%. And that's just how it is for the time being. Obviously, Ethereum has a smaller market cap it's more speculative, and it hasn't been around as long. So there's going to be that argument where, on the downside, Ethereum will just have larger drops, and on the upside, it'll have larger returns. So that is the end of the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy, and as always, I will see you in the next one.